Yeah, it's about the bag with the triple single crew. We got Ronnie, Doc, Antonio, the real deal too. They coming and dropping knowledge, you know that they get to work. You know that triple single cover Bay Area sports. You know I'm coming hard, I don't feel like I'm in a hurry. Like number 30, I really got the range like Stephen Curry. Get a couple rings and hit.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is the Triple Single Crew at TSC Bay Area. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, Instagram at TSC Bay Area. Subscribe to that channel. Leave us a like and some comments as well. Guys, we got a crazy day. The 49ers did what we wanted them to do for months and months. They traded for the number 3 overall pick and, in essence, got themselves either Zach Wilson or Justin Fields or one of these other great talents. But we're all, I mean, you know how we feel. We love Zach Wilson. So I'm really excited, fellas, as you can tell. I do want to introduce my buddy who's on this with us today, Lorenzo Low Ubungan. How you doing,
What's happening, everyone? Hey, just chilling, especially with that trade. Happy Friday right there.
Yeah, man, this is the happiest Friday I've seen in a long time, man. I can't believe we made this move. We don't know all the terms yet. And that's what I want to talk to you guys about. Does it even matter? I just saw future firsts, the 12th, a third round, and then future firsts. I mean, to me, it doesn't even matter. So what do you think, Doc?
Yeah, I think we did get some insight. I believe, let me see. It's the number 12 overall, the third round pick in next year's draft, and it's the compensatory pick. So I think it's the one for Salah. Then it's a first round pick in 2022 and then a first round pick in 2023. I've been listening to the game since the trade happened, and you have, mixed feelings. Some fans are obviously overjoyed with the idea of us potentially getting our future quarterback. Some fans are a bit upset with how much we gave up. As for me, I think that you got to do whatever it takes to get your franchise quarterback. It has to be a guy that you genuinely believe in. So clearly Jimmy G, that's not the guy. There's a reason why these rumors have kept coming in and out about whether he's going to get traded, whether he's going to get cut, whether he's going to restructure his contract. But I think today the proof is in the pudding that the red and gold want to go in a different direction. And so I'm good. I'm good with the trade.
Yeah, man. What do you think, Lo?
Oh man, I mean, especially with Kyle and John, they got the extension of 5 more years, right? So, they had to get their guy, and then everyone always says, "Oh, what's Kyle's guy? What type of quarterback he wants and all that." So, this proves that he likes someone in the draft. Like you guys were saying earlier, he hit up Salah and was like, "Hey, who are you taking?"
Yep.
So they have an idea who's going to be available. So, and again, like you said, that it doesn't matter how many picks you trade as long as you get your guy, so, there's someone he likes. So, he's going to get the guy he wants, and then we'll see how he developed him in the next 5 years.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ronnie, I know you're not a 49er fan technically, but you're a Bay Area sports fan. So what do you think, man? What do you think of all this movement?
Luckily they didn't have to trade like anyone like specific, like, any big name players that, San Francisco has. So the fact that they got that number 3 pick, and with all the options that are going to be at number 3, like we already know that Trevor Lawrence is going number 1. So that's out of question. The Jets probably would draft a quarterback, but there's still 2 options, either Zach Wilson or Justin Fields. You can't go wrong with either one. So, I think it's definitely a really big trade, and, definitely will be a bright future for San Francisco.
Yeah, I just love that they made a move. They didn't just stay there and do the thing we've seen for years and years. I mean, for some of us that are, in our early 30s, usually the 49ers just kind of stand pat and take defensive linemen or a bad wide receiver back of the first round or whatever, offensive linemen that we've missed on. But to do this, to move from 12 to 3 and basically say, hey, that's fine. We give away 2, 3 first round picks, another second or third, whatever in the future. I mean, Doc, you've said this a bunch of times, and I totally agree. It's a lottery, man.
They're lotteries. I was just going to say that. Draft picks are lottery. And if you're a really good organization, you're expecting to win. You're expecting those first round picks to be in the late 20s anyways, right? And so if they're going to be in the late 20s, you can always trade back into the late 20s, with other future picks that you may have, or a player that maybe you're no longer going to be able to sign long-term, right? For example, DeForest Buckner. I thought DeForest Buckner was going to be a lifetime, red and gold player, but he wasn't, right? And we were able to get back into the first round, by trading him. And so there's always going to be different avenues for us to get back into the first round if that's something that, you know, they feel is absolutely necessary. But you got to start with your franchise QB, and to be able to potentially get that on a rookie contract, that then opens the door to be able to extend other guys like a Fred Warner, a Nick Bosa, right? His extension will come up soon. And maybe somebody else balls out that you got to extend. That might be a Debo Samuel or an Ayuk down the line. And so I think them having the potentially their starting quarterback in a rookie contract just gives them a lot more flexibility too.
Yeah, totally agree. Lo, you got, I mean, I know you grew up, you know, living a couple of minutes from City College of San Francisco. I grew up in the Sunset. So we're San Francisco guys. I mean, lifelong Niner fan, dude. I mean, we've gone to games together at that stadium right behind you. So what does today mean for you?
Oh, I mean, this is kind of like for me, like a foundation type of day. I mean, the last time we, you know, had a top 3 pick and picked the quarterback, you know, I know obviously we got Alex Smith, but, you know, going full circle now, we have an opportunity to get a franchise guy. And, you know, not too many franchises could hit on that and say, we have a guy like a Pat Mahomes that's going to be the face of your franchise for the next 5-10 years. So it's kind of obvious. I think Jimmy G wasn't Kyle's, you know, guy. You know, he looked like he was forced to make that trade and all. But I think this is a big day for our franchise, just to have that, you know, that franchise QB that could potentially maybe lead us to a couple of dynasties and get us back on track, you know, with our 49er ways, you know.
Yeah, and something I'll just add is that at least we now know it's not Kirk Cousins that we're bringing into the building. I don't know how Lowe feels about Kirk Cousins, but I know there's been so many rumors, man, that Kyle loves that guy, and I've never really been high on him. And so at least we know that is no longer an option at this point. So that in itself is really exciting. But I guess something else just to put out there is, would y'all foresee this potential young guy coming into the building and starting day one? I know there's talks about them wanting to keep Jimmy G, but that also could be to just continue to keep his trade value up, right? You're not just going to say, oh, we're going to give him away, because then teams are going to be like, yo, here's a 5th round pick. If you're saying you're going to stay with him, then teams are going to come a little bit stronger, be like, yo, I know y'all said y'all want to stay with him, but here's a 2nd round pick, right? So regardless if Jimmy G's on the team or not, would y'all want this new young guy to start, or do you want him to sit behind somebody?
I mean, I'm fine with him either starting and bring him along slowly, because we've seen before when teams are set up, it depends on the team. Our team is set up to run the ball, play good defense. If you have that, you can bring in a Russell Wilson first year, or, you know, Roethlisberger and these guys, and just kind of play pretty conservatively that first year, but you still have that talent and he's still learning on the job. By year 2 and 3, that's when that superstar really takes off. So I don't have a problem with it, but I don't know if that's what they're going to do. What the other question to me, though, is this to me means it's very likely, like you're saying, Jimmy G is probably going to get traded on draft night. I'm calling that. I don't think Jimmy G will start for the 49ers. That's what this says to me today, is that we're going to move forward from you. Today isn't the day we trade you, probably. We'll see. We'll stay tuned. But for sure, like you said, it's going to increase that value. And I think I saw on Web Zone or 49ers Web Zone that looks like the Patriots are still kind of sniffing around about Jimmy and trying to gauge interest. I can see that happening, and other teams still kind of trying to gauge interest, whether as a starter or as a backup. But he's not going to be the 49ers week 1 starter. I mean, it's huge news, because up until now, we've been saying for weeks now that we're like, well, it's looking like it's going to be Jimmy G, run it back with Jimmy G. No longer. So
yeah,
those are my thoughts.
Do you see this new young guy, whoever it is, coming in and starting right away, or what's your preference there?
Well, I really think it depends on who we pick. So like if a Justin Fields is there, or like a Zach Wilson is there, I think those 2 guys could potentially take over from day one.
Yep.
A guy like Trey Lance, he may need, you know, maybe a year under Jimmy G. He didn't play last year, so he may need a year to sit back, kind of like a Pat Mahomes, sit back, see, you know, get a feel for the game, the speed of the game, get used to the speed. But I think if you trade all those picks to get someone, potentially that's a guy who from day one, that's your guy. Yeah. So if we go with a Zach Wilson or even a Justin Fields, I think those 2 potentially could be your day one guy, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. What are your thoughts, Ronnie? Would you feel comfortable starting a rookie quarterback?
Yeah, I totally agree with everything that Lo just said. Definitely, because it's kind of like I would say like a perfect situation, but it's kind of like, that team is like ready to contend for a Super Bowl. They were literally just there a couple years ago. And, like what or Real Deal said, they're a running offense and, they have great defense. So, it'll be like a perfect situation, because they're known for running the ball. But if you have a passer like, Justin Fields or Zach Wilson, they'll be like, one of the top guys. So, yeah, definitely for sure.
Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah,
think.
something that came to mind that I don't know if at all teams do organizations, but I would love for the red and gold to bring in all their offensive linemen, all their weapons into a room, be like, hey, these are the way that we have the guys ranked. Here are the tapes that we're watching. Who would y'all see fitting great into? And it might be between the three of, a Trey Lance, a Zach Wilson, a Justin Field, and actually get some input from the players, right? Because they're the ones going to be playing with them. I don't know if stuff like that ever happens, but I just think as the game is evolving and you're starting to see just how much more power the players have in regards to like what decisions are made, I think that would be dope. Like imagine if Trent Williams was like, yo, I want Justin Fields. I will block for that guy. I will run people over for that guy. Or, right, Alex Mack is understanding. He's like, yo, the way Zach Wilson moves his feet, that reminds me of Matt Ryan. I think he could be a stud. You know what I mean? Just insight from the guys playing right now. But I don't know.
Oh no, I love that, and I have no doubt that the way that the game has changed, where coaches do care so much more about players, especially young coaches, and they care about their opinion. I have no doubt that Kyle has asked these guys, and the assistants have asked these guys their opinion, and he's taking that in. That's what this move today means to me too. I mean, we've been so critical, Doc, about what's Kyle doing, what's John doing. We love these guys, but at the same time, they haven't proven anything yet. So that love is kind of like temporary. Well, today they said, no, we're going to make a move. We're going to make a statement. We're not going to let the last 3 years dictate who we are and what we do going forward. So I do think that they get player input. How much they use it, we're going to find out. But, to me, I kind of just want to say real quick, going back to that interview, because, I've been a Zach Wilson guy for a while. So I'm like watching his interviews. I'm watching his BYU TV stuff. That's how crazy and geeky I am. But he was basically saying, like, they asked him, the guys on the show, they're like, oh, what team do you see, what system do you see fitting you the best? And he's like, I don't know, there's a few teams, but kind of like what the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan do. And I'm like that. And that was over 2 months ago, or about 2 months ago. So it's just amazing to me that we even have a chance at getting this guy right now. So man, I'm ecstatic. I'm just trying to keep it together for the show.
Yeah, yeah. I think what stood out to me, I don't know if y'all saw the report that I guess the Eagles, I think, were trying to trade up to number 3 for Zach Wilson, but they didn't. And so to me, that just continues this like thought process that it's probably going to be Zach Wilson there at 3, right? That San Francisco came in, maybe offered a little bit more for that pick, and there you go.
Can't go
and
wrong.
that's a good question. Sorry, Ronnie, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say you can't go wrong with either one. I mean, I don't know if you guys seen the Justin Fields video. He ran a 4.41. That's pretty darn good for a quarterback. So
yeah,
Travis Etienne, one of the top running backs, ran a 4.4. So that kind of tells you something about Justin Fields. And he's not only a passer, he can also run too. So I can't go wrong with either one if I were picking.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was just going to say that was my question to you guys. And so Doc, Lowe, or Ronnie, you guys take this, but like, right now, would you make that move if you think it's going to be Fields? Because I agree with you, Ronnie. I don't think you can really go wrong with either one, especially as in terms of talent. But I think they made this move knowing that it's going to be Zach. So what do you guys think?
I'll let Lo go first just so he can give us his input.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I mean, if I'm thinking it's Zach Wilson.
Yeah,
just based on what Kyle's his past, because he has this whole thing on what he likes in a quarterback and all that. I know he had RG3 in the past, but I think he likes Kyle Wilson, because he could also run, his mobile too, but he could also sit back there and throw. So I don't know. I they're both, you can't, like Ronnie was saying, you can't go wrong with any of these two guys. But I think it's going to be it's Zach Wilson, just because I could see Justin going to the Jets. So and I think I think just Kyle he might have just fell in love with Zach Wilson. So I think it's Zach Wilson personally.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat. I don't think you can go wrong. I know Justin Field gets some unnecessary flack for being an Ohio State QB, which we know they don't tend to be successful in the NFL for the most part. But it's good to remember that Joe Burrow was at Ohio State at one point, right? We've had these other really great QBs, and Justin Fields didn't even start there. He was at University of Georgia, I believe, the Bulldogs, before he transferred over, right? So the kid has been scouted, and his talent has been seen by multiple college football organizations that are huge. And so his talent, you just can't deny, whether it's his athleticism, whether it's his arm strength, whether it's his accuracy. I think I said he was probably like 70% completion percentage this past year. I know he didn't play a few games, but still, that's tremendous. But at the end of the day, I do believe that it's going to be Zach Fields. I think if anybody's going to take Justin Fields, I mean, Zach Wilson, I think if anybody's going to take Justin Fields, it's going to be the Jets. I think Robert Saleh's probably more likely to want to have a very mobile QB, to maybe cover up for the offensive deficiencies that they have there. Whereas we have weapons. Like, we don't necessarily need a quarterback to carry the team on his back. We need a quarterback to make great plays with his arms and get creative when necessary. But hopefully with this new O-line, that might not even be a thing that's needed all the time.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool if we can put Justin Fields and Zach Wilson together. We get Zach Fields. I love
Zach
that.
Fields.
Man, that would be insane. I agree with you, though. I think Saleh likes these guys that are very athletic, very big, strong. That's how he's built this defense for us, or helped build it. So I have no doubt that he's probably whispering that to John Lynch, like, yeah, I think we're going to go with Justin. He's got the big arm. We see him as being a franchise guy. He's, maybe he's our version of like a Russell Wilson light, and just that's what they see down the line. And they're going to start putting weapons around him. I actually see them getting a guy like Travis Etienne. So I'm glad you brought him up, Ronnie, because they need a running game, as we know. Maybe we get Frank back on the cheap. That would be awesome.
Oh, or they could pick up our very own Najee Harris from Alabama.
There you go. Or
Najee. That's why I thought, you know what? I actually bring him up. I actually thought if we stayed at 12, maybe, I know Najee Harris, they have him going maybe in the back end of the first, but, I could see Kyle, if we stayed at 12, getting Najee Harris, just because he's seeing guys like Zeke and seeing McCaffrey and all these guys being like superstar backs, catching the ball, running the ball. And I could see a Najee Harris type of player in like a Kamara type back. And, running backs in Kyle's system, they could go off. So I actually thought maybe, the Bay Area ties and every year he got better at Alabama every year. So I actually thought maybe a Najee Harris at 12 might have been nice. But obviously, getting that QB
I know Ronnie was mentioning that too. And I know Will and I don't see the values in running backs that high anymore. I think as the game has evolved and you have guys like Kyle who can turn undrafted running backs into studs, right? Or 7th round picks into studs. I think the value, at least within Kyle's system, isn't fully there. But it's an interesting conversation of who did we think would be the great pick at 12 if we would have stayed there. I think for me, a guy that was really starting to just become my favorite was Kyle Pitts out of Florida. University of Florida. Just thinking about him and Kittle as that double tight end, that would have been insane in my opinion, right? And then you have a end zone threat. I think Kyle Pitts like 6'6", maybe 6'7". The dude's a beast. I think he ran like a 4 something. I mean, I was having just, these dreams of seeing Kittle and him out there just making catches all day. But then I also had in mind Jason Horn, I think out of South Carolina, and Patrick Surtain out of Alabama, in case we wanted to go that cornerback route. And so we had some good options, in my opinion, at 12 if we would have stayed there. But I'm happy with this trade. Who do you think we would have maybe gone with, Will?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, JC Horn had the really great
JC
pro
Horn,
day.
JC Horn, yeah.
So I think people were talking about JC. I liked Caleb Farley just on his tape, but I know people weren't as high on him because he had the surgery and he missed a full year. So people were starting to not get as high on him. And JC Horn is such an athlete. But so I was thinking corner. I mean, that's what I was thinking if they didn't move up. But I was hoping in a way that they'd move up at least to like 7 or 8 from 12 and maybe take a Mac Jones, because Kyle likes Matt Ryan so much. And Mac Jones, like I said, to me, body wise, he looks a lot like Brady, but I think he can play kind of like Matt Ryan did. He had the big arm, really accurate on the deep throws. So his pro day was kind of iffy, but I don't take the pro day to mean too much, except for those amazing throws that Zach Wilson just threw a couple like an hour ago. Holy smokes. The one to his left and he throws, I mean, I don't care pro day or nothing. That's incredible. But that's what I was thinking. I was thinking if they didn't take a corner, they'd move up to maybe 7 or 8 and find a way to get Mac Jones. But I'm much happier with either, Fields or Wilson. And I agree with you guys. I think it's Zach Wilson. It's looking
Last
like
thing I'll say before I turn it over to you, Ronnie, going off of what you just said, real deal, about some of Zach Wilson's nasty throws today. I remember a few weeks back, John Lynch was in an interview and he was saying that he was at Patrick Mahomes' pro day and that Patrick Mahomes was making these amazing throws. And he called Kyle and was like, yo, we might have to change our plan, but they didn't, right? And so I think he's trying to make sure that they don't make that same mistake. He was like, nope, we're going to get our quarterback this time. We're not going to continue to just be running with the guy that we don't fully believe in as much as we say we do. We know in our hearts of hearts, like Jimmy G is not the guy. And so I just wanted to throw that out there. I think the pro days have actually, whether it's the ones from years past or the ones right now, they're in their minds. But yeah, let's kick it over to you, Ronnie. Who do you think would have been a good pick if we would have stayed at 12?
I know he was a Heisman Trophy winner, and his stock has just dropped down. Them saying that he's 170. He's too little. Probably Devontae Smith, just another weapon. He and Brandon Ayuk could be a nasty duo. But I like Surtain from Alabama. Those Alabama boys are different. So probably between those two at 12, I feel like those would have been steals. So probably just add more to the defense and more to the offense. That's what I probably would have gone with.
Yeah,
I agree. I mean, you can't really go wrong with Alabama, SEC guys. I mean, you got to, these guys are just, it's a different brand of football in the SEC. I mean, we talked a lot. I know Lo and I used to talk a lot about Pac-12 guys, and Pac-12 guys, sometimes they're a hit, but when they're a miss, they're a really bad miss. I don't need to go into like Solly Thomas and all this stuff, but it's a lot of dudes, right? Armstead
that
even
gave Lo some nightmares. You mentioned Solly Thomas. He shook his head instantly.
I think I was with. I might have been with Will when we made that pick. I'm not sure we were working together, but we made that pick. Man, I just wanted to turn off everything. I'm like, seriously?
Yeah, you and I, we just weren't impressed. We were like, man, there's so many options. And even if we didn't take Watson or Mahomes, because Mahomes was still kind of like this kind of wild card.
Yep.
I think Mahomes was kind of viewed like Trey Lance a little bit, where he's just incredibly athletic. He's got all these great gifts, but and again, Mahomes actually played a full season. So I mean, you saw him a lot more than Lance. But going in the draft, like nobody saw the Chiefs moving up to take him until they did.
Yep.
But so it was really like Watson, Trubisky, which we didn't like. I think we were like, nah, I liked them kind of, but I was like, nah, 1 year at North Carolina. Again, North Carolina, right? And he wasn't incredible like Zach Wilson, in a smaller conference and program. So I don't know who we wanted, man. I can't remember who we were like, yeah, let's get this guy.
Yeah. I remember we end up picking what's the linebacker from Alabama late in went back in the first. Reuben Foster. So I remember mentioning that maybe at 3.
Yeah.
But I don't know who else we wanted, but we ended up getting him. But after we picked Solomon,
another D lineman. That's what we were thinking. We're like, another D lineman. And that's another thing. Like this year, knock on wood, and believe me, I am. It's not going to be a defensive and offensive lineman, right? Like that's the thing. You don't make this move for that player. You make this move to get a quarterback. You make this move to get someone that's going to change your franchise. Yeah. And we haven't been able to say that for a long, long time, guys.
Now let's say Zach Wilson or Justin Fields is there at 3, but they select Trey Lance, who just didn't even play last year. Would y'all be upset with that pick? Because he's more of a project compared to maybe the other 2.
Yeah,
I wouldn't. I personally, I wouldn't. That's where maybe in this case you would sit behind a Jimmy G, maybe.
Right.
Maybe that's where you keep him. He can learn a little bit since he did have the year off, but size, arm, he has it all too. And I know it's a small conference school, but he has it all too. So I wouldn't be mad. I wouldn't be mad. That's where like you were saying, Will, like a Pat Mahomes type, where you're not sure, but he might pop, and then you have the next superstar. So I wouldn't be mad.
What about you, Will? Would you be okay with them taking Trey Lance?
I mean, I wouldn't be mad either, but I think you got to have a plan at that point. So whether it's Jimmy or somebody else to just kind of help him out the first year or so. But I wouldn't be mad. And again, because just like Lo is saying, at that point, it's a quarterback.
Yeah.
You know, like that. It's different when you miss top 3 on a defensive lineman
Yep.
who's not a beast pass rusher, by the way, and a quarterback that's incredibly talented. It's raw talent, but he's a quarterback. Like you miss on that guy, okay, I can live with that.
Yeah.
But you miss on like McGlinchey, you know, or some scrub wide receiver at the end of the first round. No, again, not going to mention any names. Like you miss on these dudes, and then that really does set you back.
Yeah.
Because you know, you miss on the quarterback. Okay, well, at least you were taking a shot at a playmaker and somebody who is the field general. And you can make up for that later on in the draft, hopefully with at least other good picks. But you mess up defensive line, offensive line in the first round. It's like, man, like what were you doing? You could have gotten those guys or someone better in the second, third, and fourth round.
Yeah.
And so you have egg on your face at that point. You just look stupid. You just look foolish.
Yeah. What about you, Ronnie? I know, again, right, you're not necessarily a red and gold fan, but you have this other perspective as an NFL fan. Do you think Trey Lance would be a good fit there?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the dude threw no picks. I think his freshman year it was like 28 touchdowns to no interception. Um, you know, the question is like, you know, the conference that he played in, but I mean, it's still Division I football. You know, it's so hard to be a D1 athlete, you know, going to college, but the kid can play. So, you know, like I said, it'll be kind of like a perfect system where like, you know, if they were to start him, like he has all the weapons around him. It's not like it's a rebuild, but it'll be kind of like what Green Bay did with Jordan Love. You know, they have Aaron Rodgers, but they have Jordan Love sitting. So, I mean, not saying that Jimmy Garoppolo is Aaron Rodgers, but kind of like just having that backup just sitting there ready for him to go.
That
So,
bridge quarterback. That bridge.
yeah.
You know, one team that I was just thinking while you were saying that, Ronnie, that'd be good for Trey would be somebody like a Carolina, where you have Christian McCaffrey and you can put more like playmakers around him. Maybe you trade into the back of the first round. You take a Kyle Pitts if he starts to drop, you know, or one of these other receivers, right? And then you just surround him with all these athletic playmakers. Then you're talking about a guy that if you start him either year 1 or year 2, it doesn't matter because they have so much speed and so much athleticism. It just would be fun to watch. I think he'd do well in a place like Carolina.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And another thing, I mean, as far as these other 3, I mean, all the top 3 quarterbacks that we're mentioning, they all have a buzz about them, like some type of hype that it's the real deal. Unlike Trubisky was like, you know, he has the size, the arm, but what did he do? You know, like these 3 guys, they have, even if you want to include Mac Jones, they all have the hype, the buzz. Everyone's saying the talent's there. So it's not like we're picking up an unknown type of dude if we went Trey Lance. And also if we did go Trey Lance, I mean, we have an O-line now that's like, you know, so really, I mean, you could put him back there if you really want to, and at least you have protection. Usually a top 3 pick that doesn't have that. Like a secure like a legit O-line. So even if you threw him back out there, you know, just like you were saying, we'll hand the ball off, run the offense, hit Kittle, you know, wouldn't mind that.
Yeah, and I think it's important to just acknowledge that we had Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert last year balling out before Joe Burrow got hurt. Like I think Joe Burrow had a game where he threw like 450 yards a game, and it's like, bro, he had no offensive weapons. That offensive line is trash. If he could do that there, I mean, I can only imagine what Kyle could do if he gets the right guy in his system, regardless if he's a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you got, Ronnie? You got a little more, or you another take?
At the end of the day, it's a top 3 pick. You know, there are gonna be some good players out there. So, you know, I think it's more of a hit than, you know, a miss. So you can't go wrong with any of those guys. They're all playmakers at the end of the day, and they're gonna do what they're gonna do. That's why they're up there on the draft, like on the mock draft. So you can't go wrong with any of them at the end of the day. It's a franchise quarterback at the end of the day. So
yeah, I like that. It's a franchise quarterback. I remember the last time we had a top 3 pick, we actually didn't mess that up. All right. We got Nick Bosa. So keep that in mind, faithful. That's pretty much all I got. I mean, you guys feel free to add anything that you got, but those are my takes, man. I'm super happy. And I just can't wait till April 29th.
Yeah, exciting time. It's gonna come by quick too. You know what I mean? And I think there's gonna continue to just be ongoing buzz and conversation, and there's gonna be rumors every other day on who the red and gold is leaning towards. But at the end of the day, right, we just got to get behind that pick, and hopefully it's one of the guys that we all would enjoy to see back there.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Any final things? It's pretty good. Any shout outs we got? So usually low, we do some shout outs. We want to thank Ronnie's mom once again for
Yeah.
middle of the day. He's probably doing homework.
Yeah, probably in a Zoom class right now, or actually it might be lunchtime. Who knows?
Yeah, it's lunchtime. I ain't got no class. But
Right
Raiders
on, man.
in the playoffs for another year. No other winning season, man. I'm telling you. But
Right on. Yeah, right on, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you to Lorenzo. Appreciate you coming on low on short notice. And thank you guys again for supporting us, supporting the channel. And we'll have some real good content for you coming up real soon. Thanks once again. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at TSC Bay Area. All right, everybody. Take care. See you next time.
See ya.
It's by the bag with the triple single crew. We got Ronnie, Doc, Antonio, the real deal too.